Hey everybody, Matt DeCoursey back with another installment of The Life of an Entrepreneur. Uh, we're going to talk a little bit about the question, should I write a book or not? I'm coming up on announcing the second book that I wrote, Million Dollar Bedroom is the title. My first book, Balance Me, has been out since March 1st. I wrote both of them. I obviously finished Balance Me first. It was published first, but I wrote both of them more or less at the same time. So publishing is interesting. I never thought I would be a writer. I always felt like I'd write a book, though. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's not, writing isn't something that I really, aspired to do. But as I matured professionally and maybe personally, I felt like I had some things to say. So with that and my book coming out in March, I got a lot of comments from a lot of people, overwhelmingly positive. So if any of you are out there watching this, thank you. You guys are the reason that I pushed hard to get my second book out. And one of the most popular questions I got was, or comments was, I've always really wanted to write a book. And I want to write a book, or I'm going to write a book someday, or maybe just questions about the process. So I'm going to do a journal for you here, and I'm going to talk very candidly about whether or not you should write a book, what goes into it, what to expect out of it, and so on. So that being said, let's get started. Okay, writing a book is a lot, or at least a well-polished quality book is a lot more work than you think it is. At least it was a lot more work than I thought it was. I really kind of went into the book, to the whole process, and I figured, hey, I'm going to write a whole lot of stuff. I'm going to review it. Someone will edit it. We'll turn it into a book. And I look back at that and I'm kind of smirking on the inside and maybe a little on the outside, because it sure did not happen that easily. I didn't realize that there's multiple types of editors. There's a process that involves not just the simple, one or two back and forth process that I just defined, but it's really a whole lot. First off, when it comes to editors, find a good one. I found a great one, and I continue to work with him. He's been working full time with me. His name's Patrick Price. Shout out to Patrick. I acknowledge him in my book, my first book, as being the best editor that I know, and he was the only editor I knew at the time. I actually know quite a few now, but Patrick is great. So why do you need an editor? There's actually multiple kinds of editors that you can get. You can have developmental editors. You can have just an editor, which is, I'll explain that in a minute, and then you have a copy editor. There's probably more kinds of editors. I don't know. Those are the ones that I've run into. So a developmental editor is someone that if you have a concept, you have something that you want to write about, a story, or maybe if it's nonfiction, you've got some kind of, hey, I want to write a book about this, or I want to write a book about that, but you don't have a true format or anything really put together. You're gonna work with a developmental editor who's gonna kind of help you get your thoughts straightened out and logical. Now, a general editor, which is the one which is what I've chosen to use, and that's Patrick, is someone that is going to help structure what you're doing in a way that is logical to the reader. And when I say logical to the reader, you might think, oh, well, everything I write is going to be logical to the reader. No, it's not. It's not. When you're writing a book, you get so close to it. I'm talking like that you don't see anything else but the book. And that'll happen to the editor as well, which is why I'll explain the third type of editors here in a minute. But your editors is really key. A good one will not be afraid to tell you no, will not be afraid to tell you that something stinks, and will not be afraid to, make changes and be firm about some of the reasons. And when I say that, it's just, when I say be firm, I mean, it's still your book. You still get to do what you want with it. But, for example, there might be something that you have a tendency to say too much, or a particular format or, structure of the way that you go about explaining something that doesn't seem like a big deal to you, but someone with experience will say, hey, that's going to probably turn a reader off, and this will be the point in the book that you lose them. So now you've gone through and you've created a whole bunch. You feel like you've got a book that's pretty close to publishing, and now you find out that you need a copy editor. So what's a copy editor? Why can't the first two editors do the same job? These are all questions I asked, and, including to my editors. Well, I never had a developmental editor, but anyway. So the copy editor is the person, this is kind of the last line of defense. And these are the people that are going to go, they're going to really check for grammar. And they're going to, I'm talking poring over your book. And the reason that you want this copy editor is that, once again, the editor's now pretty close to the project, and it just helps to get another set of eyes on it. You want to try to find, just because someone's quote unquote an editor doesn't mean that they're the world's, foremost expert on grammar. I mean, they should be great at it, but you want someone that's really, willing to do it. So that being said, for those of you that might have read my book, Balance Me, you know that I put a lot of weight into personality styles. You want people that are, well, for lack of a better term, kind of anal about it. That's the editors that you want. Someone that's, so anyway, that person's going to be really helpful. I highly recommend it. You're going to need graphic designers and cover artists. You need a lot of stuff. So that's just to produce something that you can sell. Now, if you do make it that far, you've got a whole nother process you've got to run through. First off, most books are sold on Amazon now, kind of 50-50 between Kindle and paperback. So the whole, you got to register to be a seller on Amazon. You're going to have to purchase what's called an ISBN number, which is the number that is used to catalog your book, either online or Library of Congress, stuff like that. You're going to need the ISBN no matter what. But so now you've just registered for Amazon. So where's everything else? All right. So after that, you're going to end up having to register with like Ingram Spark, which is the other part of the publishing world outside of Amazon. That's going to put you at like Barnes and Noble and stuff like that. So you got to go through that whole process. If you choose to have your book also be an ebook, which I highly recommend, some people just do an ebook and not a paperback, which depending on how long it is, that might really just be your option. You're going to have to get it converted into the proper formatting for Kindle. Going to have to do a whole lot of stuff. So that's a whole lot of steps. Now you're maybe ready to sell a book. So how do we go about that? Well, there's a lot of ways to do it. And I know this post started with, should I write a book? But in order for me to really answer that, I got to kind of walk you through all the junk you got to do, along the way to get there. So now you got to promote your book. For Balance Me, I hired a publicist, and I did so for some pretty specific reasons. For that book, I wanted to try to garner a little media attention, and I did. I ended up on TV. I got multiple radio interviews. I've been featured in print magazines. I say print magazines like Kansas City Business Journal did a feature article on me. And, all that was me having the desire to round out my media exposure for myself as an author. It was the first book. Now, on my second book, I'm not doing that. It's not, my publicist did a great job. Just with the second book, I'm taking a little different approach with it. I'm going to, I'll explain that one in another post. So a publicist. Now, here's the thing: if you have to hire a publicist, you're spending thousands of dollars. And the reason to hire a publicist is these are people that are already well in tuned with potentially getting you in front of people that might review your book or whatever. So I sent out hundreds of books to end up with a half a dozen or so media components. Now, I turned a few down as well. They just didn't really seem like they were big, had a high value of return potentially. So, okay, so you have a publicist. You can also go with review outlets. Kirkus is one. Now with Kirkus, you actually pay Kirkus not for the review. You pay them to guarantee you your book gets reviewed. Now you can send it to them and take your chances, but the problem is all these places, they get so many books. How many books do you think the Oprah Book Club got every day requesting a review? And it's just not possible to read all of them. That's an issue. So anyway, with Kirkus, they're going to give you a very candid and straightforward review. They did with my first book, and they gave me a good review, and I'm happy about that. Now with Kirkus, if they give you a bad review, you can at least squash it, meaning it doesn't make it a good review. It just means that you don't have to publish it to the entire world. So that's an option. For those of you that, have a book that's very specific, I recommend that you try to promote it and buy ads on Amazon. If done well, it can be really effective, and it puts you out there immediately. And when you buy ads on Amazon, what you get is it's like when you scroll down and you'll see it'll say sponsored ad or title or whatever. So now that being said, it's a bidding process. So you're going to have to kind of determine how aggressive you want to be. Some people also are going to use outlets like Goodreads. I'm on Goodreads. A lot of people are. It's a pretty big platform. I don't recommend advertising on them. I bought a $500 ad spot prepaid as my book was launching, and I figured that I would probably get a lot of clicks on it. I've used up about $5 of that budget, and it's non-refundable. So anyway, Goodreads is just a good outlet source. There's a whole lot of grassroots stuff. So here you go. Now you've heard all of the different ways, shapes, and forms to sell your book. And we just talked about writing it and creating art for it and the things you got to do to go through to publish it, blah, 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 blah. Are you still with me? Do you still want to write a book? Because we're probably going to talk about why you could, should, or would. So, and those are, okay, first off, should you write a book? It's all up to you. It's all up to you. There's different motivations for doing it. Some people just have something that they want to share with the world. Some people are doing it for commercial or promotional reasons. Some people, it's just one of those things they wanted to do. For me personally, with Balance Me, I had something that I really wanted to say. I did also realize and hope that it would help raise my professional profile. That's still being determined. I'm within a 90-day window of it coming out, but it very much has opened the door for some opportunities that I may or may not have, run into without it. It seems like certain things have been a little easier. In regards to writing a book, be careful. Write a good one. Don't just rush it and publish crap, because it's going to be out there forever. And coming up on the completion of my second book, I was pretty specific about that. And I feel like I wrote a good book. I got decent reviews on the first one. We'll see what the second one is. But, if you just push garbage out there, you're going to be attached to that and tied to that. So what you're attempting to accomplish now look, some people publish some mediocre stuff and it's just intended to like maybe get their name out there or whatever. And, I'm not necessarily discouraging that. Those typically are like 30 or 40, page little quick strike type books, ebooks that are about one topic. If you're going to publish a feature length book, meaning 150 to maybe up to 300 pages, it needs to be good because that's a lot of words to read. And you got to keep someone's attention for all of them. So some of the other reasons that, maybe if you just want to, there's no real commercial motivation behind that. Maybe you just want to do something that, to help someone. If you have a story, a cause, specific information. Now let's talk about the whole publishing industry. And you're going to need to take the rose-colored glasses off when I tell you this. You're probably not going to make any money selling your book. Sorry, you're just probably not. First off, the publishing industry overall kind of sucks right now. There's some people that sell a lot of books. It's very tilted. Well-known authors and people that have already done several titles really dominated. As a first-time author, you're going to really struggle. I was fortunate with my first book, Balance Me, that and I'm not going to disclose sales numbers. We did hit the top 10 for new self-help books during the week of our launch, and thank you for those of you that bought that and helped make that happen. But the reality is, when it comes to books in general, people think that they're going to sell thousands and tens of, 100,000. Your chance of selling 100,000 books, minimal. Your chance of selling 50,000, minimal. Your chance of selling 10,000, minimal. Honestly, if you sell 500, you did pretty good. And those are the numbers that you'll find from publishing companies. It's just, there's something like over 1 million new books coming out every year, and yours is going to be one of them. So if you want to literally talk about getting lost in a sea of, new stuff, that's it. And if you don't have the money to promote it, well, actually, you know what? Let's stop on one other thing. So do you need a publisher or do you self-publish? I self-published. Well, actually, technically, I opened a publishing company, Realist Books, and I am my own publisher. I've actually even given out a book deal to someone else. That's coming out this summer. I think it'll be pretty good. It'll probably sell a heck of a lot more than I've sold of my books, but it's easy to self-publish. You can do it. It's just, you're going to do all the work. And I mean all of it. So as in regards to having an actual publisher, that's a double-edged sword. They're going to offer you a lot of distribution. Like, my book is not available inside Barnes and Noble, and that's because I'm self-published. It is available on their website, and it's made print on demand, which is an amazing technology, by the way. For those of you that don't know, when you sell your paperback online, they print one every time the book is ordered. You don't have to have any inventory. That's just wild. I thought that was crazy. I've seen it happen. They get it to your door on Amazon 2 days later, just as promised. It's crazy. And it's great quality. So good for them. And I think that's pretty cool because you don't have to have like all these dusty boxes of books that you hoped you'd sold sitting around. So anyway, the self-publishing is pretty easy. You just have to have the things and components that you want. I kind of did what I'd call as self-publishing plus, meaning Patrick, my editor, was a senior editor at Simon & Schuster for a while. And, we got really great graphic artists and all these different, I went out and found the best people I could, and it cost a lot of money to do that, but I wanted to put out a good product. So, But as far as doing it yourself, there's a lot of people and places that you can get really great book covers designed. There's editors that you can, find that, aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg. So self-publishing is a valid option. For me, I did it because I really wanted I wanted to own my own content, and a publisher's going to take a huge royalty from you. And the double-edged side of that is that if they do choose to send you out to the bookstores and your book doesn't sell like right away, the bookstores send them back, and then you're kind of screwed because your book's going to get buried. It's just that simple. They're not going to promote it. I mean, it's got to be good right away. And I mean right away, like first week good. So it's really like 6 of one, half dozen of another. And for some people, if you have the resources to publish yourself and you're interested in doing it, then you can. It's easy. So, I don't know if I totally answered the question. I might have actually better explained some of the process of writing a book. I think the answer of should I write a book, that's really just up to you. Professionally, I think it's a good move if you have something to say. And personally, if you feel like you can move people or make a difference, then do it. So, love to see your comments on this. Thanks.